Hello folks, this is a condensed guide on Arataki Itto. No extra preamble this time, let's just dive right in. All his damage comes from three sources: his normal attacks, charge attacks, and elemental skill. His burst just buffs his damage, by a lot actually. With a decent build, he will do about 4 times more damage while he's transformed into an Oni. However, he can feel a little weak when outside his burst, so let's show how to maximize his damage. First off, you should know a little bit about his unique quirks. He has a special version of his charge attack that consumes his superlative buff. You get a superlative buff on his second and fourth hit of his normal attack string. Another unique part of Itto is his normal attack string. It continues even if you use a dash or his elemental skill in between attacks. Here is how his 4 attacks look like. If I dash or summon Ushi, the attack string still advances to the next one. Nobody else does this in the game, at least for now anyways. This lets you build more energy when using his elemental skill, which Itto desperately needs, and close the distance to a new enemy while still building superlative stacks. You can spend these stacks by holding his charge attack. Each stack does a swing with an upward arc, and the last stack will have a slam to the ground and does the most damage. One of the best things about his superlative charge attack is the free dash you get to close the distance to an enemy. Thanks to his Ascension 2, you want to be near the 5 max superlative stacks before using it all on a charge attack string. You will know you have the max stacks when the transparent Oni mask on his back pulses. His other damage ability is his elemental skill, where Itto summons Ushi. You can hold down the button to aim, but I find it better just to tap the skill and hit the enemies next to Itto instead, especially during his short 11-second burst. Ushi can hit multiple enemies and does a lot of damage. When Ushi hits an enemy, Itto gets a stack of superlative. Ushi also taunts nearby enemies and gives more superlative stacks when it takes damage. Lastly, Ushi gives one final stack when it leaves after 6 seconds or runs out of HP. Overall, this skill is quite strong. It deals a big chunk of damage just from one tap, gives about 3 to 4 superlative stacks on average, and only has a 10-second cooldown. Itto's final ability is his elemental burst. It doesn't do any damage by itself, but it greatly increases his attack. And that boost scales with his defense. Here's the boost you get per talent level, and the main reason you want to stack defense on Itto. This buff lasts 11 seconds, which is enough to let you toss out 2 Ushis, but the timing can be strict. This 11-second window is where Itto will do the most damage. The attack boost also snapshots, which means whatever defense you have while casting his burst will be used to buff Itto's attack. Even if the defense is reduced afterwards, the attack buff will stay the same. In this example, Itto has 1752 defense and it gave him an attack of 2771. Now I'm gonna let the defense buff expire. We see that even though his defense dropped, the attack is still the same, which means it snapshots the entire time. A good combo is to party Itto with Goro. Goro's burst can increase Itto's defense by 25%, plus whatever flat defense his talent level is at. So you want to queue with Goro first, then swap to Itto and then transform into an Oni. Also, before using Itto's burst, try to have the max stacks of superlative. Then you want to summon Ushi right away to start the 10-second cooldown. Afterwards, use Itto's superlative charge attack to dish out crazy damage, then do about 3 more normal attacks and start another special charge attack string. Try to summon another Ushi right when it's off cooldown so you can get it in the buff window. Since your burst time is very precious, you want to maximize your damage by squeezing in 2 Ushis and 2 final charge attack slams during those 11 seconds. So let me go over that again. This is his burst combo. You want to burst, summon Ushi, hold his charge attack for a full combo that ends with a slam, do 2 or 3 more normal attacks, and then hold the charge attack again to get another slam, and then summon another Ushi before your buff goes away. Now that we went over how to use his abilities, which one do you want to level first? The priority is normal attack, elemental burst, then elemental skill. Though all 3 abilities are very useful for Itto, so you want to have them all at least level 6 anyways. For his Ascension passive, Ascension 2 lets Itto attack faster with consecutive charge attacks, and Ascension 4 increases the damage of those charge attacks. Both of these help out his damage. Since Itto is a 5-star, getting Constellations is quite expensive, so I advise against that unless you are a whale. His Constellations doesn't boost his damage like other hypercarries. Instead, they are mostly quality of life improvements. His Constellation 1 gives him more superlative stacks during his burst, so you don't need to use as many normal attacks. However, the 11-second window is still very tight. Without this Constellation, you can still summon 2 Ushis and use 2 final charge attacks within that 11 seconds. Squeezing in a 3rd final charge attack is going to be really tough. So this Constellation mostly gives you a couple extra charge attack swings instead of normal attacks. Still, it's nice to have, but definitely not required. His Constellation 2 is much better. It reduces his burst cooldown and regens some energy, which is one of Itto's weak points that I'll talk about more later. He needs a team that can feed him enough energy to let him use his burst when it's off cooldown. His Constellation 4 is a party buff. After his burst is over, you want to swap to your other characters anyway, so this lets the rest of your party do a little more damage. Finally, his Constellation 6. It adds a nice chunk of damage to his charge attacks, and is also his strongest Constellation, but it will cost you quite a lot of Primogems to get this far. Way too much for my liking. Okay, onward to some less expensive info. His weapons are actually kind of free to play friendly. Here's a chart of Itto's DPS with different weapons during a burst rotation. Obviously, the personalized Redhorn Stone Thresher will do the most damage. It is tailored just for him. But the interesting thing are his other weapons. The second best weapon is a 4-star Serpent Spine. You shouldn't have much trouble keeping the stacks of the buff as long as you are making crystallized shields during battle. And the last weapon I want to mention is the craftable White Blind. Anyone can make this weapon, and you can eventually get it to Refinement 5 after killing enough weekly bosses. Both of these 4-star weapons are better than a Refinement 1 Skyward Pride or Wolf's Greystone, which is great news for the average player. Now for artifacts. Very simple. You want 4-piece Husk of Opulent Dreams. The 2-piece gives 30% defense bonus, and the 4-piece will give him more defense and more geo damage. Another set made for Itto, but is also the best set for other geo characters like Albedo and Goro as well. For main stat on artifacts, you want defense percent for Sands, geo damage for the goblet, and crit rate or crit damage on the helmet. Most likely, you will want to have crit damage in order to keep that golden 1:2 ratio, since Itto naturally has crit rate from leveling up. For substat priority, you want enough energy recharge to use his burst on cooldown. If you are running 3 geos, then about 130% energy recharge is enough. After having enough ER, you want crit rate and crit damage, followed by defense percent. For Itto, attack percent and flat defense have about the same weight. So far, I've been unlucky farming artifacts and I haven't gotten any good defense percent pieces yet. But even with these mediocre artifacts, he is still dishing out pretty decent damage, which I'll show when I'm talking about his teams. Itto can be in very flexible teams, but there are some that helps him a little more. The ideal team will include Itto and Goro, since you get that defense buff from Goro as well as a Geo team resonance. Having a 3rd Geo unit is also nice to activate Goro's Geo damage bonus and to generate more energy. Albedo and the Geo Traveler are good batteries that most people will recommend. Then you can have a healer on the 4th slot. However, here's another interesting team that I personally like and haven't seen many talk about. It is with Ningguang and a flex character that adds off-field damage. Fisho or the Raiden Shogun are good picks for the flex spot since they do lots of damage off-field and can help make crystallized shields, but the black horse is my Ningguang. You might think this team doesn't have a healer, but if you equip Ningguang with a prototype Amber and build enough energy recharge on her, she can pretty much use her burst on cooldown as well. And with a prototype Amber, you heal the entire party. Ningguang is also a great Geo battery since she can use 2 elemental skills when at Constellation 2. You can combine this healing with the healing from Goro's Constellation 4 and your team will be just fine even without a dedicated healer on the 4th slot, allowing you to bring in more DPS. If you don't want triple Geo units, you can always have Itto and Goro paired with a healer and another swap DPS that you enjoy playing. And finally, I will show some footage of my Itto team in the Spiral Abyss. Remember, this Itto has barely any defense percent artifacts, and he is stuck with a HP percent Sands since RNG hates me at the moment. I farmed the new artifact domain almost every day since it came out, and I still haven't gotten 4 great pieces. Also, my Goro only had talent level 1 on every skill when recording this. I kind of forgot to level his elemental skill, so you can say that this showcase is kind of realistic in damage that the average player can achieve. Anyways, enjoy the rest of the video. Like, comment, and subscribe to help me out, and as a return, you can join my Discord for weekly giveaways. I give out welcome passes every week and some extra Primo Gems when new banners release. So come hang out and have a chat with a bunch of friendly folks. That's all I got for now. Thanks for watching and have fun out there, traveler.
Showtime! Bam! Stabilize! Rally! Bam! Who wants some of this? Attaboy! Gather! I will have order! Advance! Solidify! Charge!
Let's light it up!
Bam!
Everybody stand back!
Everyone on me! Oh, coming through! Attaboy! Bam!
Let's light it up!
Rise! Attaboy!
Let's light it up! Teamwork is...
Rally! It's showtime! Let's roll!
Everybody stand back!
Solidify! Everyone on me! Advance! Attaboy!
Adventure time!
Charge!
Let's light it up!
Stabilize! Cha! Gather!
Teamwork is dreamwork!
Press the advantage! Who wants some of this? Bam! Solidify! Attaboy!
Everybody stand back!
Advance!
Shoot! I can't afford any more bandages!
Stabilize! Pull in! Everyone on me! It's showtime! Bam! Let's roll!
Teamwork is dreamwork!
Press the advantage! Charge! Bam!
Adventure time. I'm going in.
Stabilize. Pull it! Attaboy! Rally! Oh, coming through! Yeah! Let's roll!
Let's light it up, everybody.
Press the advantage! It's showtime! Bam! Yeah!